Hallo gents, middag manne. Ek gaan vandag vir julle wys hoe om oorgangstukke te begin. Okay, I'm quickly going to show you how to do a transition piece. Okay, first off, transition pieces are very similar to solid geometry. If you look at the shapes usually. Okay, so oorgangstukke is baie dieselfde as jou vaste liggame as dit kom met die vorms en so aan. Right, soos julle kan onthou, die belangrikste punt wat julle altyd moet onthou met vaste liggame is om te nommer. Okay, so the most important thing you have to remember when we do transitional pieces is to number. So I'm going to write here NB number. So please remember to number. Jy moet nommer manne. As jy nie gaan nommer nie, gaan jy sukkel. Okay, so let's start off. I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, this is the base part. So now I'm going to do the top part, and due to the fact that it's not the same, I'm going to say A, B, C and D. So 1, 2, 3, 4 en omdat hy bo anders is, het ek om A, B, C, D. Dit wat ek op my boansig gedoen het, ek op my vooransig ook doen, but I did at my top view, I have to do it at my front view as well. So this will be 2 and 3 with B, C at the top, A, D at the top and 1 and 4 at the bottom. Okay, so first things first, let's identify the lines that are true lengths. Okay, you will remember we did true lengths in grade 10 already. We made use of two methods to determine true lengths. The first one was the cone method and the other one was the rabat method. Okay, so we are going to use the cone method. Okay, so ons gaan nou met ware lengtes werk. Nou julle sal onthou vir graad 10, ons het twee metodes gedoen. Die eerste een was die mantellyn metode en die volgende een was dan natuurlik die rabat. Ons gaan nou die mantellyn metode gebruik. Okay, en om dit te kan doen moet ons ook nou gaan bepaal watse lyne is klaar ware lengtes en watser moet ons ware lengtes van gaan bepaal. Okay, so if we have a look at this drawing, we have to quickly identify the lines that are already true lengths and those that we have to determine the true length of. Okay, so if you look at 1 and 2, okay, line 1, 2. Everybody agrees that that is already a true length. The same with 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 and 1. Okay. A, B, B, C, C, D, D, A is klaar ware lengte, so jy het nie nodig om hulle weer te gaan bepaal nie. Okay. Same with A, B, C, D and A. It's already true lengths. But if you look at 1A, 2B, 3C and 4D, that is lines that's at an angle. So thus we have to determine the true length. So on the top view it's at an angle and at the front view it's also at an angle. So we have to determine the true length of that line. So as op die boansig is dit in 'n hoek, teen die op die vooransig is dit in 'n hoek. So ons moet sy ware lengte gaan bepaal. So to simplify it for yourself, go and mark the lines that we have to identify the true length of. Okay, I'm going to start with 1A. I'm going to make it number 1. Okay, now with this exercise, very simple. 1A, 2B, 3C and 4D are all the same. Okay, so I'm going to mark them in a similar way, so I'll be able to identify them and say that they are all the same length. Okay, so ek het nou gaan bepaal dat 1A nie 'n ware lengte is nie en ek merk hom nommer 1. Nou 1A, 2B, 3C en 4D is almal presies dieselfde lengte omdat dit 'n vierkant is na 'n vierkant toe wat bo is wat presies in die middel is en. Reg. So, dit het ek nou gedoen. Okay. Now, when we work with transition pieces, very important we work with triangulation. Okay, so we're going to work with triangles. Okay, so wanneer ons met oorgangstukke werk, werk ons met driehoeke. Now, if you have a look at this part over here, you will see that there is 4 corners. Okay, to divide it into 2 will mean that I have 2 triangles, and that's what we're longing for. We are looking for 2 triangles. Okay, so jy sal sien hierdie deel hierso is 4 hoeke, reg. Nou as ek gaan en ek verbind 2 na A toe. If I go and I connect 2 with A, do you all see that there is a triangle and there is a triangle? Okay, so now due to the fact that this line is at an angle, I'm also going to have to determine the true length of that line. So I'm going to mark this line O. Okay, so I know which line I'm working with. Now, due to the fact that all these sides are the exact same, it is symmetrical with one another. Okay, so omdat hierdie lyne almal dieselfde is, hulle is simmetries met mekaar, lyk presies dieselfde, 2 na A toe en 1 na B toe gaan presies dieselfde wees. 2 na C toe en 3 na B toe gaan presies dieselfde wees as daai. 3 na D toe, 4 na C toe gaan presies dieselfde wees en 4 na A toe en 1 na D toe gaan presies dieselfde wees as daai. So ek het net nodig om een van hom te gaan uitwerk. Okay, so gents, now 2 to A and 1 to B will be the exact same. 2 to C, 3 to B will be exact same, and I'll continue on like that, and you will see that they are all the exact same. So now, if you want to simplify it for yourself, you can just do this, so you don't get confused. So om het vir jouself maklik te maak, kan jy net dit doen, sodat jy nie die mekaar raak nie. I'm going to divide all of them into 2 triangles, so that you don't get confused. So this is very simple. Dit is baie eenvoudig. Jy moet net jou nummering reg kry. Okay, so now I've done this. Now I'm quickly going to determine the true length of 1A as well as 2A. Okay, so nou gaan ek die ware lengte van 1A en 2A bepaal. Okay, you will remember from last year, how do we do this? Very simple. I'll start off by putting my compass on point 1. Okay, so ek sit my skerppunt, my passer op punt 1. Ek maak seker dat hy by punt A is. So dit is die lengte wat ek die ware lengte van wil bepaal. So I put the sharp edge of my compass on 1. I make sure that it makes contact with A, and I bring it over to a horizontal plane. So I bring it over to a horizontal plane. So I'm just going to draw a arrow here so you know what I'm doing here. Okay, so ek sit my passer op die skerppunt op 1, trek my daai boog hier oor. Daar waar hy kontak maak op my horisontale vlak, vat ek hom loodreg op boontoe. Okay, so there where it makes contact with my horizontal plane, I'm just going to project it upwards. Projecting this line upwards. Now, one thing you have to remember, you guys tend to get very confused with this part. You don't know where to connect, whether it's the bottom part to A or the top part to 1. Remember it like this. Where did I put the sharp edge of my compass? I put it on 1, so I'm going to take it back to 1. So this line gets connected to 1. Okay, so om het te onthou, want julle raak gewoonlik nie mekaar, waartoe verbind ek hom? Ek vat hom op tot bo en van daar af projekteer ek hom terug na 1 toe om dit lekker maklik te maak. Onthou net waar jy skerppunt van jou passer gesit, die skerppunt van my passer op 1 gesit. So daai gaan my ware lengte van 1 wees wat ek gaan gebruik. Now, the next true length that we have to determine is true length 2A. Okay, once again, put the sharp edge of my compass on 2. I'll make sure that it makes contact with A, like that, and I'll bring it over to a horizontal plane. There where it makes contact, okay, so I bring it over to a horizontal plane. There where it makes contact, I'm going to project it 90 degrees upwards. So daar waar ek kontak maak, gaan ek hom 90 grade op projekteer. Now, the first thing that you're going to see now is that, but it's on the outside. So what am I going to do now? Don't stress, okay, just project the height over. Okay, so moenie stres as jy sien hy is aan die buitekant nie. Projekteer net jou hoogte oor. En daai punt daarso is dan die punt van waar ek gaan werk. So that point over there is the point that I'm going to work from. Now, do you remember this? Where did I put the sharp edge of my compass? At point number 2. So now I'm going to connect that point with point number 2. So ek het skerp met my passer by 2 gesit. So ek verbind van daar af na 2 toe. So dit is dan 'n ware lengte O. So this is true length O. Now I can go ahead and do my exercise. Because I've got all my true lengths, now I just have to use them with the transition piece. So my first step is just to get myself a line, a baseline where I'm going to start working from. This is my starting point. I like to start with 1. Okay. Now, this is how we're going to go ahead and do this exercise. 1 goes to 2. Because we want to determine that first triangle. So 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to A goes to 1. So 1 to 2, I'm going to use that length. Make sure it makes contact there. Put it on 1 and get yourself an arch over there. Okay, so ek het gemeet van 1 na 2 toe met my passer en ek het oorgebring, so hierdie gaan dan punt 2 wees. So that will be the baseline that I'm going to use, that I'm going to work from. Okay, so dis my basislyn van waar ek gaan werk. Okay, so this is line 1, 2. Okay, now I have the true length of 1 to A, it's true length 1, and I have the true length of 2 to A, which is true length 0. Okay, so I'm going to start with 1 to A, it's true length 1, so I put it, remember I always work with my true length that's on my front view, So I make sure it's on that true length. I put it on 1. And I get myself an arch. Okay, so ek het my ware lengte van 1 gevolg. Ek het hom gebruik op my voorhandsig. Ek het seker gemaak dat my passer op daai lengte is. Ek het hom op 1 neergesit en met my boog getrek. Nou weet ek dat A ergens op hierdie boog gewees. Now I know that A will be somewhere on this arch. Okay, I also have the true length of 2 to A. Okay, so there's true length O. So I'm making sure that I'm using the true length of O. And as you can see there, it's the true length. So I put it on point 2. And there where these two arches cross, that will be my point number A. So that is point A. Okay, so daar waar hierdie twee nou met mekaar kruis is punt A. Okay, so now basically I've got this part of the triangle. Now I'm going to go over and do the next part of the triangle. Okay, so just to simplify it and to ease the explanation, to make it a little easier, with light construction lines, I'm just going to show you the first triangle that we just constructed. Okay, so net om dit vir 'n bietjie makliker te maak, jy hoef dit nie so te doen nie. Ek wil net vir jou wys dat daai is driehoek Z. Okay, so this is triangle Z. Okay, now we're going to do triangle double Z. Okay, that's the next one that we're going to do. Right, to determine that one, I already have point A, I already have point 2. So now I'm just going to use A to B and 2 to B. And there where the cross, that will be my point B. So let's start off with A to B. Okay, so ek moet nou net gaan en ek moet my afstand van A na B en my afstand van 2 na B gaan gebruik, want ek het mos klaar punt A en punt 2. So, A to B, I get my arch. Now I know that B will be somewhere on this arch. Okay, so nou weet ek B ergens op hierdie Now I know that B will somewhere on this arch. Okay, nou weet ek dat B ergens op hierdie boog gaan wees. 2 na B toe, 2 to B is true length 1. So now I'm going to make use of true length 1 again. True length 1. Put it on 2. Make an arch, and there where the two cross, that will be my point B. So daar waar die twee gaan kruis is punt B. Met ander woorde, as ek hom nou so gaan verbind, thus, if I connect them like this, you will see I have my second triangle. So my second triangle will be triangle ZZ, which is that one there. Now if I go and I connect all the points, I'll get a nice outline of my first shape. So as ek hulle nou gaan verbind, gaan ek die buitelyne van my eerste sy kry. There you go. Now we're going to continue with the next part. Very simple. Once again, now we work. We have 2, we have B, 2B. So we just need point 3. Then we have the triangle. So B to 3 is true length O. 2 to 3, we already have the true length. So let's start with 2 to 3. So I'm going to say the distance from 2 to 3, 2 to 3, I get my arch. And now I know that somewhere on this arch will be point 3. Okay, B to 3 is true length O. So now I'm going back to my true length over here. I'm going to make sure that it's on that true length. Sorry about the hand. Okay, so I'll make sure it's on that true length. I'll put it on B. And there where the two crosses, in this corner over here, this will then be point 3. Okay, now I can go and connect 2 to 3. Right. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next one. B goes to C. B goes to C, so I measure the distance from B to C. I measure the distance from B to C. That distance, I put it on B. I get my arch. And now I know that C will be somewhere on this arch. Okay, so ek vat nou my afstand van B na C toe. B na C toe, ek trek my boog. Nou weet ek dat C ergens op daai boog gaan lê. 3 na C toe is ware lengte 1. Okay, so 3 to C will be true length 1. So now I'm going to use true length 1 again. Going to use true length 1 again. Put it on 3. And there where these two cross. So daar waar die twee kruis, gaan dan natuurlijk punt C wees. So nou kan ek gaan en ek gaan intrek. En nou het ek my volgende sy. Now gents, I know this is going to sound very simple, but trust me, when you're in the exam and time is your biggest enemy, do as I just did. Tell yourself in your mind, 2 to 3, 2 to 3, B to 3, B to 3, get my point, boom, then you have it. Okay, so ek weet dit klink baie dom, maar in jou kop terwyl jy besig met die eksamen, sê vir jouself, okay, B gaan na 3 toe, B gaan na 3 toe. 2 gaan na 3 toe, daar waar die 2 met mekaar gaan kruis is punt 3, dan het ek hom. And so you can continue. So I'm quickly going to do the rest. Okay, so it's C to D. Once again, I'm going to work with that distance. C to D. So C to D, I get my arch. Okay, now the next one is 3 to D. Remember, 3 to D will be the exact same as 4 to C. So it's true length O. So I'm working with true length O again. I'll put it on 3. I get my point, and there where they cross, that will of course be point D. So now I've got point D. I can draw it in. So ek het nou punt D, kan hom gaan intrek. En daar is my bokant. Reg, nou gaan ek oor 3 gaan waartoe? 3 gaan na 4 toe. Okay. 3 gaan na 4 toe. Ek maak seker dat op daai afstand is. 3 na 4 toe, ek trek my boog. D na 4 toe is ware lengte 1. So nou gaan ek weer ware lengte 1 hier gebruik. Maak seker ek gebruik die regte ware lengte 1. Nou sit ek D na 4 toe en daar waar die twee kruis, my punt 4. So there where the two cross, that will be my point 4. And now we're going to go over to the last one. Nou gaan ons oorgaan na die laaste ene toe. Weer eens, D gaan waartoe? D gaan na A toe. Now I'm going to quickly show you another way to do it. Because remember, as you just saw, there's plenty of ways to do this exercise. Just make sure that you get to the same results at the end. Okay, so D goes to A, correct? So I get my arch there. Now I'm somewhat going to do this in advance. 4 to 1, I already know the distance from 4 to 1 because after 4, I'm going to have 1 again. Now, D, extend that watch a little. Okay, D to 1, D to 1 is true length O, so now I'm going to use true length O again. D to 1, and then 4 to A is the exact same. So I'll make my mark there. There where they cross, that will be point A, this point R, and this will be point 1 again. And that is the transition piece of a normal square base to a square base which is in the center. Remember, with this you only had to determine 2 true lengths. That's why we only used 2 true lengths. Okay, so hier is 'n baie eenvoudige ene. Dit is jou ingangspunt hoe jy gaan begin om hierdie goed te doen, en die toepassing met elke oefening gaan presies dieselfde wees. Al wat jy moet onthou is, ons werk in driehoeke. We work with triangles. Very important to remember that you have to create your own triangles if there's surfaces that is surfaces with 4 corners or so forth. Okay, so jy moet onthou as jy 'n oppervlakte het wat 4 hoeke het, moet jy hom net verander in 2 driehoeke sodat jy met driehoeke kan werk. Ek hoop hierdie video help julle. As julle enige vrae het, julle welkom om ons te kontak. Baie dankie manne.